guys, Cinderash here, and I want to talk a little bit about the inheritance system for weapons, how it works, how it functions, and the ways to go about it for when you're doing your endgame build. I'll try to explain some of the stuff for early game as well, towards the beginning, so that way you can understand why pathing and doing what you're doing now isn't going to work once you get to endgame, and that all you should do for now is have fun. As the main focus with Wild Hearts in any kind of Monster Hunter type game is to just focus on enjoying it first, min-maxing later. So let's get started. So to start, we're just going to look at the weapon that everybody starts with. It is just a basic katana. Now, just like every other weapon in a Monster Hunter type game, you're going to have different stats and abilities as well as elemental damages that can affect how your weapon works. So, throughout the different paths that you have some weapons that have elemental, such as wind, water, fire, earth, and I believe leaf or grass of some type. It might even be poison. And these will, of course, add elements to your weapon. These work similar to other Monster Hunter games, or if you're coming over from other franchises like Dark Souls, it kind of works like Bleed or Frost, where you have to hit an enemy a certain amount of times before it builds up and does the damage. And all the damage seems to be tick damage from what I've tested. Something to keep in mind is, again, some animals and monsters have different typings that are similar to the one you're using, which means you'll be doing less damage. Or they're resilient against that type, so it will be doing even significantly less damage. Or it'll be strong against that type, where it'll be doing more damage than a raw weapon. So that's something to keep in mind when you go on hunts. And to learn the different typings of enemies if you prefer to do type hunting, or just go with raw if you prefer not to mess with that kind of stuff. So to start off, let's talk about the difference between inherent and inheritance. So the top one, you can see that it says inherent skills. Inherent skills is strictly to that weapon. So for the aromatic plum blade here, it has none. But it does have an inherited skill. Inherited skills are skills that you can pass down basically the weapon's family lineage. The best way to think about this is like a family tree. And you can kind of place where something moves along the family tree with these different lines that you see, and where you can kind of move things about. So with Critical Master here, we can bring that down and put it onto this one, like I've already done, with the Aromatic Plum Blade 2. This one does have an inherent skill, but it also has 2 Critical Masters and a Bear Thread as its inherited skill, since it can hold 3 of those. Now say I wanted to continue down the line and not go to the left, I can go down to this Intoxicating Birch Blade 3. Now when I click on it, I can't transfer over the inherent skills. These are basically parent skills, if you want to call it that. Makes it a little bit easier. Whereas these inherited skills you can think of as children, and you can move them over. So I can only move over 2 because Woodwilt is taking up the 3rd slot. So I can move over Bear, Thread, and Critical Master, for example, and then if I enhance it, it'll carry over. I'm not going to waste materials doing that because I still need them for other things for endgame as well as on other stuff. But that is how it would work. It would transfer over to the other weapon. And then if you wanted to continue, you can carry it down over to this one with all 3 of those skills being able to put on there, because you can see there's the Resurrection Stance and then 3 unders underneath it. The next thing to note is some of these inherent skills as well as inherited skills have these little icons next to them. The dark purple that you see up in the top of the inherent skills means you need to be full human path, which means your armor must be all the way on the human pathing. Same with the small blue one, you need to be partially on the human path to be able to use that skill. So you have to be very conscious about this, especially in endgame, on which skills you want to take down the trees with you. Because your armor is going to affect what skills work and what skills absolutely will not work. So let's swap to my main weapon, the Nodachi. something that I find was a lot of fun. It was very heavy hitting, and the way that I want to use it is to hit heavier than it already does, but also be able to easily break things, be able to topple Komono, so that way my other teammates can focus on using their hunter arms or use their Karakuris, anything to help the hunt go quicker and go faster. So we'll have to work from the bottom to the top to get the build that we want. It's a little weird and it's a little confusing, especially at first, because when you come into this, everything's going to be question marked, like over here on the left. I have purposely not hunt this Karakuri, this Kimono, so that way you guys can see what I mean. So as you can see, I can hover over this Nobusama no Dachi, which is the blue rat icon over on the left, and you'll be able to see all the different spline glider materials and everything else that I'll need to be able to actually make this weapon. But if I were to hover over one of the question marks, it doesn't tell me anything besides it's going to be a water type weapon, which is why you shouldn't worry about building and making your class until the very end. When you've finally defeated the Celestial Dragon, like such, and you'll be able to actually build and make your character. So what are the things that you should focus on? Realistically, depending on your weapon, it's going to differ vastly. And you should look at what you want to do with your playstyle before you look at what you want to do with your weapon. I want to be a heavy hitter, so I chose the Nadachi because it's a very heavy hitting weapon. And especially if you're coming in new to a Monster Hype game, I would recommend diddling around with all the different weapons before you finally choose a main. Or if you're coming in from a Monster Hunter game and you're already a veteran and you already know what your playstyle is like, then you already know where to go, and that's where we're going to start. So building from the bottom to the top seems pretty counterproductive, but what we want to do is actually look at the inherited skills that we want and then build a path that is going to be the cheapest, quickest, and most effective way. So starting for me on my weapon, what I wanted to look at was something for my EI art, so that way I could sheath my weapon faster and lose less stamina. I wanted something with a charge boost for my Fury, a one-stroke Fury, a final blow, and a destruction art. And if you don't know what any of that means, you can always look at the skill description. I highly recommend this because this allows you to look around and choose what actually is going to work for you. So that way it allows you to build path and correctly do it the way that you want to do it. So this weapon came with EI art, inhibits the EI stance, stamina loss, which means that I lose less stamina when I have the EI art stance commenced on me. I have battle swordsmanship attack of a 20%, so it boosts the powers on my left click and my mouse wheel attacks, which are my secondary specialty attacks. I have a charge boost fury, which boosts the power of my charged up attacks, aka my EI art for this weapon. Final blow, which boosts the attack power against toppled Kimono, because I want them to be on the ground as much as possible where I can use my EI art. Destruction art, which makes all parts of Kimono easier to destroy. I paired that with One Stroke Fury, where I boost my attack for a while destroying parts of a Kimono. And then again, Hawkeye, which boosts the attack power against Kimono weakness. Like earlier that we talked about, I have a special icon beside some of the skills, and these are the Kimono path. So you have to go to the Kimono armor and then build yourself to as pure Kimono as possible with your armor styling so that you can unlock some of these. Once you've decided if you're going to be a human or Kimono path, it makes everything a lot easier. Human path is typically over on the left, whereas on the right is typically going to be the more Kimono path. It makes it easier so you can split it down the middle and kind of ignore one side or the other unless there's a specific skill you need to go for on the left side. So now that I know what inherited skills I want, I have to build backwards and figure out where all the different inherited skills are on the tree and then make my way there. So as I snake my way back, I can see this one has Verve, nothing that I need. This one has Charge Burst Fury, so I could take this and then I'll bring it all the way down. One Stroke Fury is here, so I take that, put it with this one, bring it all the way down. This one has Final Blow, so I take these three, bring it all the way down. This one has Destruction Art, so I take it and bring it all the way down. And then I know what are the 4 skills that I wanted along with my EI art, And then I was able to path it all the way down. So we start with an Adachi, bring it to Edgestone, Ripple, down to the other Ripple, to Yamashita. We take that Destruction Art, we path it down to here, bring it to this one, bring it here. We pick up the Final Blow along with our Destruction Art. We take it, bring it down to here. We take both of those, bring it down to here. We take all three, Final Blow, Destruction Art, and Stroke Fury, bring it down, Charge Beast Fury, bring it down, and then we have all the ones that we want. And that is basically how the inheritance system works. You now have a bunch of percentages, you have the build that you want, and then you'll have to couple it with armor. Armor is a little bit more difficult because armor can be kind of weird. As you can see with my character in particular,
Can I be of service?
I have on hat from one set, I have a chest piece from another, my gauntlet and my pants are the same, and then I just have feet on from an entirely different set. And that's for the pure kimono path. But it also provides me some bonuses that are going to be useful for the way that I hunt, such as deaf ears. I get some bonuses while fighting in the daytime and some other stuff. So it's always impertinent that you keep these in your mind when you're building, if you're going to be one path or the other, but also taking up all the skills that you want from the end. And that is basically how the inheritance system works and how you should build your weapon. I hope this helps. I hope this was clear and understandable. I hope you guys take care, stay awesome. If you guys have any questions about your weapon, or if you have any questions about your playstyle or how you want to build, or if you have something conflicting, I'd love to help you guys out. Just leave some comments down below and we'll figure out what we could do to help make your time here in Wild Hearts a lot better and make your gaming sense a lot stronger.